recent analysis that showed that New York City lags behind other major cities with regards to the number of engineers that live in the metropolitan area?
No, even if we had a majority, we still wouldn't be enough. I think that's
just
clear.
wondering if that presents any challenges to recruitment or
no, we're going to fix that problem. This is, I mean, this is why we're doing it, to have them come here and create them here, all the way in the back. Sir.
The hospital that's currently on Roosevelt Island, is there a specific timetable on when those, I guess, 1,000 beds will be moved out?
Yeah, I think it's over the next 2 years. It'll all be done. It's on schedule.
Where will those beds be moved?
North General. This is the movement, the closing down of this hospital and moving it has been in the plans for a long time. That has nothing to do with this. It's one of the reasons why people said, oh, or we said it was available. But the movement of the hospital, the combining of Goldwater up with the North General, which is sort of in Harlem, near Fifth Avenue, that's been in the works for a long time.
They're all going to be moved to North?
Oh, yes. Yeah, the hospital is an underused hospital and not suitable to fill in other needs where we need hospital beds. Seth, want to add something?
Yeah, a couple things. First on that, HHC, as the mayor mentioned, has had plans to close Goldwater for some time. They want to create a new modern facility at North General. They're also building next door to that a new skilled nursing facility, and their intention has always been to move all the patients out of Goldwater, do it obviously in a responsible way, and that is why this site was available for us to make available as part of this competition. With respect to your question about engineers, just to give you a sense of the scale of what we're talking about, if this project comes to the maximum fruition that Cornell and the Technion are talking about, up to 2,500 students per year, we would increase the number of full-time graduate engineering students here in New York City by something like 85%. Nearly doubling the number of full-time graduate engineering students. And that's exactly the reason why we've undertaken this project, in order to provide that talent so that our economy and our companies can continue to grow.
Yeah, and keep in mind, we have some other great engineering schools here, like NYU Poly and Columbia, and they will benefit from this, because once engineers start coming, other engineers want to do the same thing. Yes, Miss?
Do you have any idea, number one, where the incubation campus is going to be? And also, can you talk a little bit more about the K through 12 opportunities for education that might be there?
There's going to be incubator facilities right in the complex that you were looking at that we will operate. And then, of course, we also hope that there may be the possibility of others developing similar kinds of incubation facilities. But we intend to have incubation facilities right as part of the campus complex. And your second question?
The K through 12 education.
Well, one thing we're going to do is participate in teacher training on Roosevelt Island and we believe elsewhere throughout the city. And then we would love to be able to engage with the department in discussions of what we can do to establish even a greater capacity. One of the great challenges in our country is in the area of STEM education. It's an area that's of great interest for me, in which I've worked for the last 20 or so years. And so I believe with the leadership in the city, with the mayors having put a stake in the ground that this is the direction we're going, and with the expertise not only of Technion and Cornell, but of the other really excellent higher education institutions in this city, most particularly CUNY, we think that we can join forces to be even more focused in this area. I believe that the education department is already moving very, very briskly in this area, and I'm sure details are available. We would just like to sort of pile on that effort and do what we can to be helpful in that regard.
Yeah, no, the one thing that I would just add is in our agreement with Cornell and the Technion, the schools have promised that they will impact no fewer than 10,000 public school students each year and 200 public school teachers each year. And the idea was that we wanted to establish the scale of the programs, and then we would have the universities work with the Department of Education to figure out what the Department of Education thought would be the best way to achieve that goal.
I think it's fair to say the hardest to recruit has been science and math teachers in the public school system, and arguably it is for the world of tomorrow the most important. Dennis, you want to add anything?
The visions of sugar plums dancing in my head right now. I mean, the partnership we're looking forward to is just tremendous as far as the opportunities. We've already started talking with Deputy Mayor Steele, with Seth, and the partnership as far as STEM is just truly exciting as far as preparing our students for the future. So this is a great opportunity for all of us.
We'll take one or two more questions on topic. Yes, Miss?
This is a question for President Scorton. I know Cornell is a big influence in the city wanted to know what the announcement.
We can't hear words you're saying, so.
I'm sorry. I just wanted to ask what the announcement would mean for the city of Ithaca and students at Ithaca's Cornell campus.
Ithaca isn't closing.
But as always, I appreciate the mayor's straightforwardness. Of course, you would understand how people might be concerned about this very substantial focus on New York City. I want to just give you 3 pieces of evidence about this. One is our magnificent provost on that campus, Dr. Ted Fox, who got out of answering any questions today, made it very clear in the beginning that the funding for this new established campus would be separate and would not add mixed funds with the Ithaca campus. Secondly, I just want to, if I may, remind you of an answer to an earlier question. This is going to be a pay-as-you-go operation in which we believe that we could match this scale by this variety of revenue streams that I won't burden you with. The students on the Ithaca campus, without any encouragement from me, the undergraduate representative body, the Student Assembly, the president of whom is right behind you, Natalie Raps, have on their own developed and passed a resolution in support of this. Not being satisfied to yield to the undergraduates, the Graduate and Professional Student Assembly under the leadership of Evan Cortons also developed its own strong support of the effort. So the evidence would suggest that the students in Ithaca and others believe that this will add and all the ships will rise in Cornell. And because of the orientation of the students in Ithaca all over the world and the energy that has led us to start 22 companies in the last 2 years, we need to expand beyond Ithaca. However, Tompkins County and Ithaca is a very important continuing focus for Cornell University, and the good of our immediate community in Tompkins County could not be more important. I just had the honor of co-chairing the Southern Tier Economic Regional Council, Regional Economic Development Council, established by Governor Cuomo, because it's very important for us, and we have the bandwidth, as the mayor said, to do both, just as we have a campus in Geneva, New York, in Doha, Qatar, and we have offices and classrooms in Washington, D.C., London, Paris, Rome, and Beijing. We're very used to working outside of Ithaca while still focusing on the core of the university.
I can't think of anything that will help the school in Ithaca more than being on a world stage here. All of these institutions are in competition for the best and the brightest faculty and students, and this just makes Cornell even more that attractive. Yes, Miss?
Yes, President Levy said that he got the call Friday afternoon. Does that mean that the decision to pick Cornell as a winner was made Friday afternoon? And also, are you waiting to find out whether NYU Columbia will be picked before you determine how much of the $100 million is given to Cornell?
No, we've committed the $100 million to this site.
Okay.
And I don't know at what point yesterday Bob Steele and Seth Pinsky finally signed everything. I signed some documents today, but you know, until it's signed, it ain't done. And so there was nothing done on Friday. I think that you have to arrange travel plans in advance. The president of the Technion was in, I don't want to brag for him, but he was in Sweden, where one of his faculty members just received the Nobel Prize. So if you're going from Israel to Sweden, you might as well keep going. And hopefully he'll spend a little bit of money, buy some things to take back to his family. You want to add something? I don't put any pressure when you get back.
Well, I must say I went from Stockholm to Paris to Rome to Tel Aviv to New York. So. But what happened on Friday was that Stanford decided to withdraw, and somehow I was optimistic.
We'll take 1 or 2 more questions on topic, sir.
What were some of the factors that propelled you to make this decision now instead of in January?
Bob or Seth?
Well, we had been making very substantial progress with Cornell and the Technion in our negotiations over the last couple of weeks and had come pretty close to resolving all of the open issues by the end of last week. And what we were really drawn to here was that of all of the proposals that were submitted, and we had many, many very strong proposals, this was the proposal with the most students, this was the proposal with the most faculty, this was the proposal with the most square footage, the proposal with the most aggressive timeline, the most money for startups, the most money for building, and a partnership of 2 world-class institutions that had experience in New York and had experience developing entrepreneurship. And so We thought that with all of that, given the progress that we have made, that the time was right to make the selection.
And keep in mind, we've been negotiating with all of the last 7 participants simultaneously. And we still are with a bunch of them, and we'll see what happens with those. Yes, Miss?
Mr. Mayor, just wondering, after 2013, what your role will be in this project? Are you going to continue working?
Well, I've not, my academic background is such that if I applied, I probably wouldn't get in.
I mean, in terms of funding and...
If you assume that when they make phone calls, I'd be on the list. But I also have some commitments to some other educational institutions, as you know. Sir?
One or two more, and then we'll take off topic quickly, and then we got to...
Does this rank as the greatest achievement of your 10 years as mayor?
I don't know. I think greatest achievement of my life is my 2 daughters, and after that, this is a wonderful thing for New York City. But there have been so many wonderful things for New York City. New York City continues to improve its education system, bring down crime, be a magnet for people around the world. We've made the kind of infrastructure investments that everybody around the country is complaining that they don't have. But the New York City people, citizens, taxpayers reached into their pocket, and they've done what should be right to position New York for the future. And that is one of the reasons why we are attractive to the Technion and Cornell and these other institutions. Yes, sir.
To what extent is this binding? What happens if Cornell isn't able to do what
it's binding? Keep in mind, if we're going to invest, commit this land, turn down other people who wanted it, and invest $100 million, you don't do that unless you have a binding commitment. And Cornell and Technion certainly have an understanding of that. One of the attractive things about Cornell is they certainly know how to do business in the city. Just look around, and that's very important. I will take one more question on topic, please.
Is the Roosevelt Island maxed out with this project, or would there be room for expansion?
There's no room for any big thing after that. And I think the people of Roosevelt Island would like the density to be roughly what it is. North of the Edward I. Koch Queensboro Bridge, it's all residential with some stores to service those people. South of it will be this great combination advanced applied science campus and the Four Freedoms Park, which is getting close to being complete. We'll take off topic, if anybody will take 2 or 3 off topic. Yes, sir. I haven't heard. I don't know what it is, and I wouldn't have any comment. It's up to the